After that day, the family's life changed forever. Rocky, although marked by the experience, became even more special in the eyes of Marco, Serena, and especially Julia, who now saw in him a faithful friend and a tireless protector. Their daily life was enriched with intense moments and small miracles, capable of transforming even the most ordinary of days into an exciting adventure. Soon after returning home, the family decided to take even more care of Rocky, monitoring his every move and celebrating his every little triumph. Every morning, as the sun began to peek over the hills, Marco and Serena took long walks in the park with Rocky and Julia. Nature seemed to welcome them in a warm and familiar embrace, and that daily ritual became a moment of reflection and gratitude. During their walks, Marco often stopped to observe the dog, noticing in his every expression the strength of a difficult past and the courage that had pushed him to perform that heroic gesture. Every wrinkle on his face tells a story, he thought, while Serena exchanged knowing glances with him, almost as if to say that, despite everything, love was the thread that united every experience. One evening, during one of those moments of family intimacy, Serena sat down with Rocky by the fireplace and, stroking him gently, began to tell him stories of the past aloud. She told how, years before, she had met a volunteer at the shelter who had whispered to her that the Doberman had already known love, but also the pain of being rejected. "You know, Rocky, you were stronger than they could have imagined," Serena said in a trembling but proud voice. And in that moment, as the flames danced on the walls, it seemed that the dog understood every word, responding with a slight movement of his tail, as if to say that, despite the scars, the heart is always capable of loving. In the days that followed, Rocky's story began to spread beyond the confines of the small town. Neighbors, initially skeptical, began to tell the story, transforming the dog into a symbol of hope and resilience. At the weekly market, while the colors and scents of the stalls blended in lively harmony, someone dared to say, "That dog has the soul of a hero." The words of the elders, who remembered times when courage was an everyday virtue, resounded like an echo in every alley. Even the little ones stopped to admire Rocky, whose stories were transformed into legends around street games, giving life to tales that made people smile and think at the same time. One autumn afternoon, when the leaves were dancing lightly in the wind and the sky was tinged with golden hues, Marco organized a picnic in the countryside. The family, along with some close friends, found themselves in a clearing immersed in the quiet of nature. It was the perfect opportunity to create new memories, the ones that, despite the time, remain etched in the heart. Between one laugh and another, Julia, now a little older, told everyone about her adventures with Rocky. "My friend is a real superhero. It's as if he can sense every danger before it even arrives." Her innocence and her trust in the dog inspired a sense of protection and wonder in anyone who listened. That day was also the moment when Marco decided to delve deeper into Rocky's story. Talking to an old friend, a former volunteer at the shelter, he discovered that the Doberman had lived through tough experiences, forced to move home several times, due to misunderstandings and unfounded fears. This knowledge made him reflect on the value of second chances and the regenerating power of trust. Often, the scars of the past are the sign of those who have survived and become stronger, Marco confided to his friend, while Serena nodded, understanding that that story was not just an isolated tale, but a universal message. As the months passed, Rocky continued to recover his vitality, although the memory of the snake attack remained etched in everyone's memory. The family then decided to organize a small party to celebrate the rebirth of their four-legged hero. Inviting friends and relatives, they set up a play area in the garden of the house, decorating the place with soft lights and colorful flowers. It was a day of joy, where every smile seemed to pay homage to that dog who, with a single gesture, had taught everyone the meaning of sacrifice and unconditional love. During the party, Rocky's story was told out loud, and everyone added their own contribution, transforming the story into a mosaic of emotions and hopes. An old man, with shining eyes, remembered how, as a young man, he too had witnessed similar acts of courage, while children played carefree, chasing soap bubbles and imagining themselves as heroes. The evening ended with a shared promise, to never forget how precious every gesture of love is, no matter how small it may seem. But Rocky's story didn't stop there. After that event, the dog became the protagonist of other adventures, some funny, some touching. One day, during a walk in a nearby wood, Rocky introduced the family to a small hidden corner of nature, a secret place where time seemed to have stopped. Here, among centuries-old trees and sparkling streams, the family found the serenity and authentic beauty of uncontaminated nature. Marco, struck by the magic of the place, began to document his discoveries with photos and notes, transforming each outing into a small exploration of the world. This secret corner became a privileged meeting place, a place where they could reflect, dream, and rediscover themselves far from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Then came the winter period, when the snow began to cover the landscape with an almost unreal whiteness. It was then that the family decided to organize a trip to the mountains, an adventure that would lead them to face the challenges of a cold and harsh environment. Rocky, despite the biting cold, once again proved to be a tireless companion, running happily among the flakes and entertaining Julia, who enjoyed throwing snowballs at the dog. On that cold day, sitting in front of a fire in a rustic cabin, Marco and Serena exchanged glances full of gratitude. Nature, with its changing seasons, had given them not only breathtaking scenery, but also lessons in resilience and the certainty that, in every situation, love can warm the heart. In those years, the family learned to look to the future with new eyes, thanks to that small, heroic Doberman who had taught them so much. Rocky's story became a source of reflection for many. It was told in small neighborhood meetings, in literary cafes, and even on a local television show, where Marco was invited to talk about the importance of trusting those who, even if marked by the past, are destined to shine. "We should never judge a soul by its appearance," Marco said during the interview, with a passion that only someone who had lived a similar story could convey. Those words, simple but full of meaning, remained imprinted in the minds of those who listened to them, carrying a message of hope and humanity. Every new day was thus transformed into an opportunity to discover that, despite adversity, life always offers the possibility of starting over. Little Julia, growing up with the constant example of Rocky, soon learned to never give up, to look for the bright side even in the darkest situations. Her innocence and her ability to love unconditionally became a beacon for everyone who knew her. As the years passed, that family formed even stronger bonds, and the story of a brave dog transformed into a legacy of values, a legacy of love that was passed down from generation to generation. Thus, between a laugh and a tear, between a hug and a silent glance of understanding, life continued to write unforgettable pages. Rocky, with his indomitable spirit, remained forever the symbol of that fortuitous encounter, of the moment in which fate had decided to intertwine the lives of Marco, Serena, Julia, and a dog who, against all odds, had chosen to give everything to protect the one he loved. And every time someone, walking through the streets of the town, crossed paths with Rocky's sweet and attentive gaze, he remembered that true courage does not lie in the absence of fear, but in the ability to face it, to embrace life with all its nuances, even the most unpredictable ones. Ultimately, Rocky's story is that of a hero without a cape, who has shown that the heart has immense strength, capable of transforming every small gesture into an act of love. A story that invites us to believe in second chances, to not judge by appearances and to jealously guard every moment of happiness. Because, as Marco once said, life is a precious gift and every day is an opportunity to write a new, incredible adventure. And so, as the seasons followed one another and the years passed, the memory of that day when Rocky risked everything to save Julia continued to illuminate the path of anyone lucky enough to cross paths with that family. A message of hope that, even in the darkest moments, reminds us all that love, in all its forms, is the light that guides our destiny toward a better future.